So Leslie said, I feel like people with mental illness are not safe around police if they're having an episode. I can agree, especially around police officers who are not trained on mental health. And when I say trained, I'm not saying have a class that's a one day. I mean, this is stuff that police officers should be learning often, especially in certain areas. Because I was talking to someone today and I was thinking, like, we were talking about how is it that someone with mental health who is white can always get cuffed and be put in the car, or it's there can be de-escalated, but then when it's someone who's black, it usually isn't de-escalated. It becomes very anger, like it's rooted in anger, it's rooted in, I'm fearful, I felt threatened. And and I started thinking about, like, our police officers need to understand who they're working with. Because just like you understand your community, when you come into a community that does not look like you, then you need to start understanding them. So when they are having mental health crisis, that you're not killing them because you're afraid. And so, Leslie, I could not agree with you more. I really do believe that, that's one thing within our community, and a lot of Black communities, that they just don't feel safe around police, and not only with mental health, but just in general. And we need to find ways to make that better. Like, maybe like in predominantly Black neighborhoods, they need to have predominantly, or at least what we have, 35% Black and 47% Hispanic. We need to have something that looks like where, who is actually here. And I think that's a big piece within our policing. And I think that it will make a big difference when you have people that look like you, that understands, and having clinicians on route. If you are going to go to a police call for mental health, you need to have a clinician. Like, the clinician needs to be the first person to get to have contact, unless that person is actually actively trying to hurt someone. But it really is so important that, violence in the community is addressed in a way that is going to be educational, that's going to be received, and people don't have to feel let down, And I think sometimes we get into these spaces where we just don't know who to trust. And so we end up feeling like we might as well give up. So thank you for that